Example 1, factor 8x squared plus 22x plus 15. Remember what you're supposed to do when you hear the word factor? Greatest common factor. Don't forget that. 2 goes in here, 2 goes in here, 2 does not go in here. 2 is the only number that 8 can be factored into. So the greatest common factor as far as numbers are concerned is 1. X, no x, the greatest common factor is 1. You've done your job. You look for the greatest common factor. What's the greatest common factor? I just did that. What is the product? 8 times 15. You're looking for two numbers whose product is 120 and whose sum is 22. The sign of the large number is positive because the sum is positive. And then you go to, you can certainly do 1 times 120. The sum is not 22. 2 times 60, 3 times 40, 4 times 30. After you divide by 2, you can divide by 2 again. You get 30. The sum is 34. 5 goes into 120 24 times. 6 goes 1/2 of 40, which is 20. The sum is 26. 8 goes 15 times. 10 goes 12 times. Oh, 10 times 12 is 120, and 10 plus 12 is 22. We found the two magic numbers. The numbers are 12 and 10. These magic numbers tell us how to split the middle term. So 8x squared plus 10x plus 12x plus 15, this is still 22x. You factor, you group, since you have 4 terms, you group the first 2, you factor out the 2x, get 4x plus 5. From the last 2, factor a 3, you also get 4x plus 5, which is your common factor now. So your result is 4x plus 5 times 2x plus 3. How about 8x squared plus 2x minus 15? Again, the greatest common factor is 1, like previously. The product is negative 120. The sum is positive 2. The sign of the large number is positive. Therefore, the sign of the small number must be negative, because a positive number times a negative number gives me a negative product. Excuse me. Negative 2 times 60 and so on. Negative 6 times 20. Negative 10 times 12. The sum is positive 2. The product is negative 120. My middle term is split up as negative 10x plus 12x. Factor, you get 2x times 4x minus 5. Factor a 3, 4x minus 5. Factor out the greatest common factor now, which is 4x minus 5. You're left with 2x plus 3. Example 3. Factor 8x squared minus 2x minus 15. Greatest common factor is 1. The product is negative 120. The sum is negative 2. The sign of the large number is negative because the sum is negative. A negative number times a positive number gives you a negative product. 10 times negative 12 gives you negative 120, and 10 minus 12 gives you negative 2. The middle term is split up as 10x minus 12x. Factor 2x. Factor a negative 3 to be left with a positive 4x plus 5. And your product is 4x plus 5 times 2x minus 3. Finally, we want to factor 8x squared minus 22x plus 15. Product positive 120, sum negative 22. Large number is negative. You run through your factorization like I have shown you in the previous examples. You're down to negative 10 minus 12, which is negative 22. The middle term can be split up as negative 10x minus 12x. Factor out the negative 3 to get positive 4x minus 5, and this is your factorization. Example 5, factor completely if possible. Greatest common factor, 2, no 2. 3, 3, 3. 3 is a common factor. How about, so 54 is just 2 times 3 times 3. We are only concerned with 2's and 3's. There's nothing else that we need to worry about. Nothing else goes in 54. So we found that 3 was a common factor. We found that 2 was a common factor. 6 is a common factor. X, x squared, no x squared. So 6x looks like the greatest common factor. Ooh, I say 18. I say 18 is the greatest common factor. No, 18 is not going to go in here. So what do I want with 18? What's the greatest common factor? 2 is a factor, but not of 81. 3 is a factor of all 3. 9 is a factor, but not of this. 3 is the greatest common factor. Okay. After I factor out a 3, I am left with 18x squared. I also factor out the x. I am left with a negative 27x, and I'm left with a negative 35. So after I factor out the 3, this is what I have left. Now the product is 18 times negative 35, or negative 630. The sum is negative 27. You get a large number which is negative, small number is positive, because a negative number times a positive number is a negative product. Run through 1 times, 2 times, 3 times. 4 doesn't go because you cannot divide 315 by 2. 5, 6 doesn't go because you can, why doesn't 6 go? 6 goes in here. 6 goes 1/2 of this 105 times. Okay, I should have a 6 in here, but the sum doesn't work out. So 7, I tried 7. I know 7 goes into 63 9 times. 8 does not go because 4 doesn't go. 9 goes because if I divide 210 by 3, I get 70. 10 goes, and so on. 15. And at 15, you notice that 15 minus 42 is negative 27, and 15 times negative 42 is negative 630. You can do this mechanically, step by step. If you don't skip any steps here, if you fill in all the holes, you don't have to go back and ask, gee, did you miss something that doesn't work? If you have all the cases here, and you cannot come out with a pair of numbers whose sum is negative 27, whose product is negative 630, the trinomial cannot be factored, at least not using integers. So we have the magic numbers here. We factor out 3x, we factor out a negative 7. That allows us to factor 6x plus 5, and we are left with 3x minus 7. And don't forget the 3 that we had originally, the 3x. So 3x times 6x plus 5 times 3x minus 7.